I arrived at the address expecting to find a seamy, broken-down house that looked occupied by a criminal. Instead, I saw a yellow cottage with a rose garden on the side, shrubs along the front, and a neatly trimmed lawn. When a fellow agent opened the door, I saw his partner seated in a living room with furnishings you'd expect your grandparents to have. An old mahogany, clunky television console with water stains, a couple of well-worn upholstered chairs with a paisley pattern, an old fake oriental rug, walls decorated with artwork from a department store. Seated on a couch covered in clear plastic sat a second FBI agent. He stared vacantly in the direction of a 75-year-old man who snored melodically in an oversized upholstered chair. After introducing myself quietly so I wouldn't awaken the gentleman, I asked, "Where's the suspect?" The agent on the couch pointed toward the elderly man. "What?" I said loud enough to stir Rip Van Winkle, but not fully wake him. "What's going on?" I asked more quietly. "This old guy threatened to burn down his neighbor's house if the neighbor didn't keep his dog out of the guy's front yard. The two neighbors have been feuding for years." "And the FBI is now involved in dog disputes?" "Rip Van Winkle here used the telephone to make good on his threat, and the neighbor finally got tired of his bullshit and called the cops, who promptly punted the case," he used air quotes, "to us because of the extortionate telephone call. The interstate aspect. Bullshit, but technically correct." "Extortion? This guy?" "Yeah, I know." "Does he speak any English?" "Nope. Except bastard and goddamn." Ah, I thought. We at least have some linguistic common ground. Great. Okay, let's wake him up. The other agent aroused a gaunt old guy, whose face looked more like a shriveled prune caricature than a gruesome kisser of a hard-nosed extortionist. He rustled, grunted, and then said something in his native language. A thought popped into my head. If I could get rid of the other two agents, they wouldn't figure out how incompetent I was in the older man's language. So I said, "I'd like to be alone with the suspect. Based on my experience with people from his country, he's more likely to talk one-on-one." I ad-libbed as I went along, sounding so logical that I began to believe myself. The agent sitting on the plastic-coated couch didn't need any prodding. Within seconds, he and his buddy bolted for a smoke break near the rose garden, leaving me alone with the alleged extortionist. "Namen?" I asked, not consulting my dictionary. He looked at me like I was from Mars. "Name? Nam?" "Ah," he said, recognizing vaguely that I wanted to know his name. "Klaus van Steuben." "Gut." He smiled, then the floodgates opened. For about 2 minutes he spewed a barrage of machine-gun-fast language. Despite my protestations to slow down, "Nein schnell! Bitte, bitte! Nein schnell!" Klaus hurled words at me like he was putting out a 3-alarm fire with a 5-inch-wide fire hose. I let him spray until I couldn't take it anymore, then said in a loud, stern voice, "Halt! Nein, halt!" or something along those lines. He clammed up and almost saluted. Now I was faced with the prospect of having to lead the discussion, so I just stared at him. My mind spun fast but got nowhere, like rear tires in the mud. Finally, I developed a couple of weak possibilities. Option 1. Pretend I had instant laryngitis and use homemade sign language. Option 2, fake being a native speaker, would expose my inability to translate and suggest I could not resolve the situation. I chose option 1. I coughed a few times, said, "Goddamn," then pointed to his neighbor's house and the phone. I then pointed to him, shook my head no, and squeaked out a raspy, "999." Then I ran a finger under my throat in a cutthroat manner and pointed at him.